Alright guys, so this is a DC generator set. The customer bought this thing in Cincinnati. They brought it back up to Wisconsin. We're going to go through this and see if we can get it working. The first step is to make sure that you always pack any of these boxes with any loose clothing you have, underwear, t-shirts, whatever you got on hand. Now, I'm not an electrician, but you also need to make sure that you make a very big mess. So this is our entire control panel here. This thing was built a long time ago. A bunch of resistor banks, relays, different solenoids, things closing, opening, contacts, things like that. Nowadays, you see a lot of zip ties. These are all individually twine tied, which matches perfectly with the drawing that we have of this electrical circuit. And if you actually flip this thing around, it's got the Declaration of Independence on it. So we have our AC motor spinning our DC generator that's ultimately going to power that DC motor. And I know last time we ran this, you guys were really concerned we didn't have a guard on it. I'm glad you were concerned for my safety, but don't worry, we're pretty safe. Check this out. Now what's crazy about working in a motor shop is even though we made some leaps and bounds on that last machine, this thing showed up. This is a 700 horsepower electric motor, 1800 RPM. You can see the fan right inside of the back of this. Now I tried to explain the importance of fans in cooling the electric motors. So that's our fan. There's parts of the fan down there in the backside, and that's what this fan should actually look like. Now every 10 degrees C we operate this electric motor. Over its normal operating temperature, we reduce the winding life by half. Every 10 degrees C over that, we reduce that half by half. You need to make sure these things are being cooled efficiently. We also found a lot of slop and play on this internal fan, which is definitely no good, and there's a bunch of copper balls inside of this winding. That means this thing's going to need to be rewound. If you want to try to figure out how much this electric motor is worth, it's 700 horsepower, it weighs 5,500 pounds. This thing's putting out Hellcat horsepower. And it's going to be kind of difficult to wind because the bore is so long. The winding itself, so end to end, is about 41 inches. We have our rotor here next to my fancy boot. These are nice Carolina boots. They got the fancy tassels right on the front of them. Pretty happy about that. In a lot of the rotors I've shown in the videos, you can't actually see the bars that go through the rotor, but in this one, the way that it's made, you can actually see all of these bars. So that's where our current's being induced into our rotor for our magnetic coupling. So we have a rewind, we have shaft work, we have to replace these bearings. Our drive end, opposite drive end have the same bearings on them. And you guys guessed it, this one is a rush. Cheers.